Hello. Two-Ton here. Oh, man. Another episode. Here we go. Sorry for the delay of putting this episode up. I meant to do it last Saturday. But unfortunately, I'm dealing with a issue with my family. My dad almost died a month or so ago with pneumonia, and he's out of rehab and he's healing now. And the second that he moves into his new place, like literally the next day, my mother gets rushed to the ER, and turns out she's got colon cancer. So it's been a rough couple of weeks. So it's a one day at a time kind of thing. You know, a lot of people have family members or themselves who are dealing with cancer, and cancer fucking sucks. It really sucks. And I'm praying every day that the doctors will be able to take care of what they need to take care of, and we can have my mom for a much longer time. So, but she's doing okay right now. She's home and awaiting the surgery scheduling, and then of course everything after that. So that being said, that's why I'm here a few days late. But I'm here and I'm ready for a new episode. So welcome back. That being said, all this somber stuff, I want to say I really enjoy doing these podcasts and the uploading these videos and stuff. And I'll tell you what, I've had quite a few downloads from all over the world. Actually, it's been pretty neat. I had somebody download from Scotland. That's pretty cool. California, Utah, couple on Long Island, a whole bunch in the Washington D.C. area. So, shout out to all you folks over and across the pond in Scotland and all over the country who've been checking out my podcast. It means the world to me. Thank you, and I hope I can have you for the rest of these couple episodes, because I'm going to continue it after this. After this 5-part series, I'm absolutely going to continue this. So hopefully you'll stay on board for all of it. So consider this 5-part series, season 1. So a little preview, what's to come. So, all right, let's get to it. Today's episode is actually called Epiphany, and I'm going to talk about something very, very specific that really helped me kind of get back in touch with the psychological and emotional aspect of needing to get the weight off. So, I talked about my congestive heart failure. Last episode dealt exclusively with that, which in of itself should be like the epiphany. And, that kind of near-death experience, something that, for the most part, should inspire someone to change their lifestyle and get healthy. Yeah, there's a Freudian slip for you. Change your lifestyle and get healthy. And it did in many ways, really kicked my ass and lit a fire, that's still burning, and it's working. But the real epiphany for me was a very real emotional connection I had with a movie I watched. And some of you might know where I'm going with this, but it was The Whale with Brendan Fraser. Man alive, what a film. The inspirations I got from my heart failure were very real, sobering, and for a long time I changed how I felt about eating and dieting. And my obesity and the issues that I had with why I was the way I was. My beautiful sister Vicky actually paid for me as a gift a full 6-week dietitian program, professional dietitian. I went to them once a week and shared my progress, and this dietitian told me about all kinds of tips and ways that I could better my life and my health. And I had a whole program, and I was taking notes. all the personal ways through counseling that I could change my life. And I felt at the time I was taking it seriously, but looking back, I could have put in way more effort. I really could have. Um, I was doing it, but I wasn't really all there. You know, my heart wasn't 100% in it, and I did actually start losing weight, and it's a good portion of the 150 pounds that I've kept off. Um, but my heart, figuratively speaking, wasn't all the way in. My half heart, as I mentioned in one of the other ones. So, so I puttered along with my congestive heart failure, lost some weight, and it was a bit of a roller coaster, you know. And that was a couple of years ago. Then August of 2024, my wife and I moved to Pennsylvania um, after 29 years in Florida. And for me, I thought that change would be really good, and it has been. Um, and I've dropped over 50 pounds just coming here from Florida. And that got me to a few months ago when I started this whole weight loss journey on my social media and everything. So that's where the epiphany happened. Um, so we are in what are we, August here? I'd say back in probably May. Uh, the the moment I had where it really changed my way of thinking was watching this movie, The Whale with Brendan Fraser. Um, the movie's a couple of years old, so I'm just gonna be honest. I don't give a fuck about spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm basically going to talk about the film and what happened in it, what kind of character Charlie is. So essentially, here's the plot. Okay, um, it's it's 2016, and Charlie is Brendan Fraser's character. He is a morbidly obese man who's isolated in his apartment in this little town in Idaho. And what he does for money is he teaches online English writing courses, um, like in a Zoom type thing. But he always keeps his camera off because he's ashamed of his obesity. And he sits in that apartment and he makes his money. And none of his students know what he looks like. They have no idea how fat he is. And let me just tell you that first off, the way they made Brendan Fraser look like a 500 plus pound guy. And I think because Brendan Fraser is over 6 foot tall, I think the fat suit that they created for him was incredibly accurate. And even Brendan Fraser in an interview said it literally added over 100 pounds of weight to him. So he really felt, as somebody who was well over 200 pounds and 6 foot, he was now well over 300 pounds. And he had never been that weight before in his life. And he said that wearing this fat suit really made it much more real to play this character. And man, did he pull this off? Brendan Fraser is incredible. I've always been a fan of his. So, but the other issues in this film is that he's been, he left his wife and kid years earlier, and the backstory is that he had an affair with one of his students, a male student. It was a gay relationship, and he essentially left his family for the student and alienated his wife and daughter. And at the time, she was a young kid, but now she's like in high school. Um, so the reason why he became this fat is because his lover had committed suicide. Um, and we learn later in the film that the reason he committed suicide was because of the shame he had within his church. His church had made him basically feel like he was nothing for being gay, which we all know is fucking bullshit. So it's a real kind of backstory within this, and everything connected together with this whole film. There was a lot of stuff that I could relate to. I mean, Charlie uh, being isolated in his apartment. Uh, he orders pizza almost every night, and the pizza guy is named Dan, I think, and he comes and just knocks on the door, and he never actually goes to the door. The pizza man just puts the pizza on the table by the front door, and he leaves the money in the mailbox. So he keeps himself from having to interact with people. And that's the first thing I kind of connected with. Sometimes I hate going out in public and worrying about ridicule, what people say and think about me. Um, that's a very real like inner demon that a lot of fat people have is they don't want to be around other people because they know those people are going to judge them. So here he is, in his apartment, and he's getting his pizza delivered, and he has a nurse that comes to like visit him and take care of him, a good friend of his, and it turns out that um, this nurse is the sister of the guy who runs the church that his lover committed suicide with. And there's another guy, a guy named Thomas, who's part of a missionary with this church. And Thomas comes to visit Charlie and tries to convert him and get him on the side of Jesus and the side of Christ. And Charlie's not really having it. He's kind of given up on God. But Charlie doesn't know till later on that the missionary, um, it's his brother who runs the church that his lover was a part of. And I guess this guy kind of felt guilty and was trying to help Charlie in his way. So now the other big issue here is him being estranged from his daughter, and her name in the movie is Ellie, um, played spectacularly by Sadie Sink, and she really pulls off quite well uh, the angry, fuck you, dad kind of. I hate what you did to our family thing, and she's really good at playing this angry kid, and so a good portion of this is he's trying to reconnect, and his wife Mary, um, she doesn't want Ellie to visit him, because she's all pissed about how he left, and it's like, did you love me at all if you were with this man in this gay relationship? Why bother having a family? This was kind of her attitude, and she wanted to keep Ellie away from him. Um, but Ellie, the daughter, she came to visit him, and she only came to visit him to basically berate him, just to treat him like shit. And Charlie, who's actually a really good natured, decent person, he was trying so hard to, just talk to her in a normal way and not really trying to feed off of her anger, but just trying to be the dad that he never was. And of course, he kind of realizes it's kind of late. But so, so Liz, the nurse, she hates this Thomas guy, this missionary guy who comes by, and she basically, you know, berates him and says, "Leave him alone. Why are you pushing this on him?" So there's all kinds of dynamics here with Charlie. Um, and I thought it was a sister. Liz is actually the adopted daughter of the head pastor, and her brother Alan is the lover who killed himself. That Charlie had the relationship. So I had that wrong. Um, so essentially, Thomas comes there and he tries to preach like Romans 8:13 to Charlie, and he's trying to talk about um, all the things with homosexuality in the church and thing. And Charlie's just kind of in one ear and out the other. Um, and Charlie chastises him when he attributes his lover's death to his sexual orientation, and he get out and leave. So that's another dynamic of it. But here's the thing: throughout this whole film, I really related to Charlie in many many ways. Um, I related to the emotional eating. Not that I ever did it on any great scale. For me, I just ate the wrong things. I didn't binge eat whenever I got depressed or had anxiety or anything like that. I wasn't a binge eater. I was just eating all the time and eating the wrong shit, and I never exercised or moved anything. So for some people who are really, really, really fucking big, for them they just engorge themselves with food all day as a as a safety net for their emotional issues. That wasn't me, but I can really feel in my soul for people like that. I really can, because I know even for me, sometimes I would be like, man, I really want this to eat. And there were times when I'd eat something and it would really just feel good while you're eating it. Certain foods just have that connection with you. And even people who aren't fat, they have that as well. So um, there was a real connection for me with that part of it. Another is the isolation. Um, I don't stay at home and do nothing. I go out, I pick up the groceries. I'm relatively active for somebody my size. And of course, I'm a lot lighter now, so it's easier. But I truly get and understand why someone his size wants to not be connected to the outside world because of all the shame involved in that. And he knows that people just take one look at him and be like, oh, look at this fat fuck. He's such a waste. He's a loser. You know, I've had people say shit to my face. Some people don't give a fuck. They'll just be rude right to your face. You know, not that long ago, I was coming out of a grocery store, just picking up a few things. And as I'm walking to my car, I've got about 25 feet left to my car. This is a true story. This happened just a few weeks ago. And, I'm at 400. I'm at the 400-pound mark right now. And, that's a big dude. I'm certainly not 6, 7, 800 pounds where I can't even walk. I'm moving, I'm walking. So I'm walking to my car, and there's a young couple passing me going into the store. And this dude who looked like a total douchewad, like a fucking jock with his little, cute girlfriend half dressed walking into this place. And he's maintaining eye contact with me while he's talking to her. And he totally wanted me to hear this when he said it. And just as he passed me, you could hear him say to his girl, he goes, how do you let yourself get that big? Like, just like that. Like, he knew. He fucking knew I heard him say that. 1,000%. And it's like, my immediate thought used to be back in the day, I'd be like, oh, fuck you. And I'd, be like, don't give me shit. But nowadays, I can almost understand why people think that way. But the way he did it was kind of douchey, like making eye contact with me and shit. So, um, if he only knew my story, maybe he would think differently. Maybe he wouldn't take that opportunity to make sure that I knew how he felt about fat people. He could have walked right by me and be like, "Oh, look at this fat fuck," but he didn't. He did it in a way that was like condescending, and it was ridiculing me and shaming me for my size, full on shaming me. How could you let yourself get this big? It's like, all right, I get it, dude. Seriously. So go in the store, leave me the fuck alone. So anyway, um, back to the movie. Another thing that I really kind of related to with Charlie is uh, his good naturedness, his good hearted, good natured kind of sense of self. He was very gentle, and he actually has quite a humorous side to him. Just like me, he's self deprecating, makes jokes about his weight, and it's sometimes serious and sometimes really jokey, but I get that, where you kind of have to make fun of yourself before other people do. That's another way I related to him. And then, you know, the epiphany moment in the movie came for me when he kind of all right, he wanted to uh try and connect with his daughter, and he was lying to his nurse that he didn't have any money and that's why he wouldn't go to a doctor, but he had, like over 120 grand in the bank, just money he's been saving. He literally offered that money to his daughter if she would come over and like hang out with him, and he asked her to, to write an essay like from the heart and just be honest and things like that, and she wasn't really having it. So he found he found something that she wrote when she was a kid, like in his papers. He always had it up in a book on the shelf, and he always thought that it was the most honest thing she ever wrote, and it was basically just it was an essay about how she felt about Moby Dick, and she wrote it when she was like 10 years old, many years earlier. So the epiphany moment came when he he's on the couch, and his daughter's like, get up, come to me. You can't even move. You can't even get up. And it's like he's getting sick the whole film. He's getting more and more sick, and he's having heart issues, and his heart is failing. Then the nurse knows this. Uh, the wife Mary, I think she knows this, but Ellie definitely knows this, and he knows that in her mind she kind of wants him to die, just because he was a failure, and also to put him out of his misery. So it comes when he finally shows this essay to her that she wrote like 10 years earlier, and he gets her to read it, and she's reading this little essay about Moby Dick, and just it's so profound to him that in this moment he feels like he's finally connected with his daughter. And while she's reading this, he actually musters up the strength, and you can see he's pale and he's sweating, and he gets up off the couch, and he starts walking to her over by the door where she's reading it. And this is the moment of the film where he realizes that he's walking to the light. He's walking to the light. He's dying right now. So he gets up, and as he's walking, he's putting one foot in front of the other, and you can just see this little smile coming over his face as the sweat's pouring off of him, and he's struggling to walk. And then at that moment, while she's still reading this, he feels vindicated that he's finally made this connection with his daughter, and he can let himself go and just finally be happy in heaven. And the very last scene in the film is it was so moving because he's just standing there, and all of a sudden you look down, and this 500-pound sweating man just levitates. He lifts up off the ground. He levitates up, and the metaphorical weightlessness of dying and instantly not weighing anything, all that together, that was the moment for me. And I did a full bitch ugly cry when I saw this scene, you know, and this guy just floating now as he gives up, but he didn't give up for that sense. He gave in because he redeemed himself. He redeemed his relationship with his kid, and he finally was able to, in his mind, inspire someone to write something so amazing like she did. And she did it back when he was a family with her, and he never even knew she wrote this. And in his mind, because he's like an English writing teacher, he realizes, hey, she really wrote this, and it was from the heart, and it was honest, and it was true. And in that moment, I think he felt in his mind that he was a success, not only with getting her to write this, but also that she came there and she read it for him. And that was when he let go. That's when he let himself die. And, it had a little kind of Shawshank Redemption feel to it, just the way he kind of like put his head back, and all of a sudden his feet come up off the ground. Kind of like when Andy Dufresne made it through the 500 yards of shit, mustard, nasty shit to freedom. That's my only Morgan Freeman, by the way. Like, I liked Andy from the start. So anyway, I got to throw my little impersonation in there. So, but yeah, it was very much like that. Andy comes out of the tube and he puts his hands up, closes his eyes and leans his head back. It's like salvation. He's out of it. Not just the tube of shit, but out of the prison that he was wrongfully imprisoned in. That's the prison that Charlie had. His body was his prison. And he's just been set free. And the whole moment where he just kind of floats up to heaven and the light gets really bright. And I'm like, ooh. I mean, it was, goddamn, it was sad. Sad as fuck. And I felt that moment, how he finally became weightless. It's such a moving thing, because anything people who are morbidly obese want to be is not heavy. And for me, just being 150 less than my heaviest is like night and day. But I can't even remember the last time I was 200 pounds. I was a kid. I was a fat kid in high school. I think I weighed 250 at graduation. I was probably in like 10th grade when I weighed 210 pounds, or around 200. That's my goal weight, is like 219, because it just sounds better than 220. So that's my actual goal, 219. And, I understand that I understand that desire to be weightless. And there's nothing more freeing than being able to float. And for him, that metaphorical weightlessness was his depth. And that's what really hit me. That really hit me deep in my soul because I feel like that's that's what I want. I want to be weightless. I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to be weightless while I'm living. And that was my real epiphany when I saw that film, man. It changed me as a person. And I'm not gonna lie, last couple months have been rough with the diet. I've been like, a little bit up and down, but I'm still right at that 400 mark. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just being real, being transparent. I've struggled a bit, but this isn't like a 6 month weight loss program. This is a rest of your life weight loss program. I certainly don't want to take 20 years to lose all the weight I want to lose, but I'm in this for the long haul. And if I can go a month or two and kind of stay at the same weight and not gain any of this weight back, that's a victory for me. My mind is still in it, you know. And while I see this movie as kind of the real epiphany of this whole weight loss thing I'm on right now, this journey. I could have another epiphany. Who knows? Maybe a year from now, something else happens that really, tweaks my nads the wrong way and just fucking gets me into an even bigger fire. When I get more weight off, I'd love to start really hardcore working out. Some of these videos I see of these people in the gym, how they're just rocking it up. But right now I'm 400 pounds. For me personally, with my arthritis issues and my back, I can't go hardcore right now. I have to just kind of do low impact walking, stuff like that. That's that's where I'm at right now with the weight loss. And until I get a few more pounds off, um, which, you know, I will do it. I'm not complaining. I am hardcore into this, and you know, I'm really glad I got a chance to share this epiphany with everyone. Everybody has an epiphany once in a while, and that's what this whole podcast is about. This 5-part series, and I recommend even skinny people, doesn't matter. Go see the movie The Whale with Brendan Fraser. If you don't cry like a little bitch, like I did at this redemption story, and this movie about this guy, this isolation, and how there's so many people out there who weigh as much as he does, but they're good people. They're good fucking people. They're not just pieces of shit that you look at and can smirk at and make little comments when you're walking into a fucking grocery store. They're good people. And you need to see this film. It hopefully it will change the way you think. So, but that's where I'm at with this, This is that was my epiphany, The Whale. So, on that note, I would like to say thanks for listening. And next week's episode is going to be basically what's going on in the future, my plans for once the weight's off. I want to tell everybody what my goals are and the plans I have, and how once all these pounds come off, there's a lot of things I want to do. Things I want to see, places I want to go. And that's all going to be talked about in the next episode, number 5, and that'll be the end of this 5-part series. So, thank you for listening, subscribing, downloading. You can contact me at TwoTon'sAdventures@gmail.com if you have anything you want to talk about. You don't have to go through this alone. Never fucking quit. Never, never, never quit. You can do anything you set your mind to. So, coming to you live from the command center in Indiana, Pennsylvania. 2Ton. Out.